When it comes to school advertisements these days, competition is tight, especially in computer sciences. Many students would rather sign up at schools that have a modern technology-based curriculum. Students do need to keep up with the pace of science to be compatible with scientific breakthroughs in the future. But some educators are suggesting that students ought to be taught how to be compatible with nature.
We are surrounded by modern technologies, including tablets, iPads, internet, computers, etc. Unfortunately, we're spending most of our time using all these different gadgets. It's the same scenario for our children, because they become tech savvy and they know how to use the internet from early ages. They get bombarded by data, but do they really get a chance to experience things? I doubt it, especially for the kids who live in cities. But today here at this school, I know it's kind of weird, but this is called actually a nature school, and it's very different than a typical school. Kids will get a chance to experience things, a different experience.
The original kindergarten, the children's garden, conceived by German educator Friedrich Froebel in the 19th century, was a place where children learn through play, often in nature. That idea is fast eroding. Children aren't playing in the garden anymore. Instead, they're filling in bubbles on worksheets. A new movement is emerging, which is called nature or forest school. This is a place that children experience things instead of being taught. They make their own tools and toys. They experience teamwork and learn from each other. And they make their own food. This is where kids like Avina use their imagination and become creative. She invited me on her boat. From my point of view as an adult, this looks like anything but a boat. Then she told me to paddle with some wood sticks, but there's no water. Then she asked me to go and lay on the grass with her and watch the beautiful sky. I tried to enjoy this imaginary world like the way that Avina does.
This nature school is called Kavikonj. In Farsi, if you switch these two words, it becomes Konj Kavi, which basically means curiosity. This is exactly what it does, actually. It makes you curious about the name and why it is like this and what it means.
The idea of nature school or forest school is becoming increasingly widespread in many countries around the world, and it reached Iran and specifically the city of Mashhad about 2 years ago. Nature school is an inspirational process that offers all participating children regular opportunities to achieve and develop confidence and self-esteem through hands-on learning experiences in a natural environment with trees, water, fire, and animals.
This whole nature school, which is like a small city, wasn't made before. It's actually being shaped by these kids. And for example, this is a tree house, which was all made and built by these kids. The idea, the structure, everything comes from them. Nobody told them, nobody taught them.
People who came up with the idea of nature school believe that education has to happen through experience and real-life events. They provide an environment so that the children can improve their mental, physical, and verbal skills through individual and group interactions with all nature elements that exist here.
I remember when I was a kid, I always loved to play with dirt and like making things, and I had no idea what I was making, but I was just enjoying it so much. So here again, I get a chance to try that.
At this nature school, children are completely free to do whatever they want and use all different tools that they can find here in the nature to make things or even break things. The key is, in this process, adults do not have a guiding role, but they can only facilitate.
تصویرگر کارش اینه که کمک بکنه به بچه‌ها که تو این پروسه، تو این فرآیند مواقعی که ممکنه که از حدود در واقع توانایی خود بچه‌ها خارج میشه کمکشون کنه که اون حفظ بشه. بنابراین ما بیشتر مشاهده گریم.
خیلی لحظه ارزشمندیه که میبینی اون کودکی که اول خیلی با ترس داره یه نردبان بالا میره اینو تجربه میکنه و اون بالا که میرسه شگفت زده لبخند میزنه و واقعا هیجان خاصی داره و میخواد که دوباره این کار رو انجام بده و تو حس میکنی داره یکی از مهارت‌های خیلی مهم اون کودک توش رشد پیدا میکنه و احساس میکنی تو کل پروسه زندگی اون کودک یک نقش اساسی داری میبینی.
There are other skills and capabilities that any children needs to know in order to be able to survive and succeed in his or her life. This is exactly where the games and their functionalities become very useful.
All these ropes and ladders and swings that you see here, they're actually part of some games that are designed to help these kids to stay focused and maintain their balance, which are two important things in your life, if you think about it.
Kids can feed animals, play with them, hug them, and even carry or chase them to their homes. They pick names for them, and they get worried if they don't see them one day at school.
Well, these days, as a kid, how often you get a chance to play with turkeys and chickens and ducks? Well, here's a great opportunity.
It is true that children have a lot more energy than us, but they also need to take a break and recharge themselves with some delicious food like potatoes they cook themselves and a fire which was made by them. Typical parents would definitely stop their kids touching and playing with fire. But the rules are very different here. It's the end of the day and everyone is almost ready to leave, but suddenly something grabs my attention, and there are symbols drawn by these kids on trees, columns, metal barrels, and other surfaces. I'm a bit confused, so I ask one of them, and he tells me that this is actually a map directing to a hidden treasure. Another sign that tells me how big and real this imaginary world would be if you learn from the nature. By the way, he told me that this is a secret and I shouldn't share it with anyone. Shahir Azimi for Iran.